Hello everyone, and welcome to today's episode of the Game Design Archive with Edward and Ludwig.
What?
Today, we're going to discuss why we love spending money on video games.
All of it.
Yes.
Every
So
single
go ahead, Edward.
öre.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. I guess we want to touch on a lot of topics today. So I guess we'll start out talking about the value perception, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a good place to start. So we have talked about this sometimes before, but the value perception in the games, what do you say, like for game players? Or how would
Gamers' value perception of games.
Yeah.
It's
It's weird, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Because, or maybe it isn't that weird actually, but it's weird from a perspective of caring about games, I guess. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, I made that sound extremely rude. I was gonna try to not be mean immediately, but yeah, because it's very metric based, right? I think we've touched on that before, right? Where it's how many hours can I get per
I was gonna say it's very, very superficial. It's like, how long is this game? How much content is there? What's the replayability, and so on and so on, right?
Yeah.
And that's sort of what.
But then again, I think replay value is pretty. I mean, it's not necessary, but like I do value replay value on certain genres.
Yeah.
Actually, more. I think more than most, because I don't think most people care that much about replay value. They play games once, right?
Yeah, I think it depends on what kind of game you're talking about.
Yeah, of course.
Because if you're talking about a roguelike, people care a lot about replay value.
Yeah, but that's the entire point of a roguelike.
Yes.
Or whatever, I mean. That it's got replay value. But I think the perception of replay value is also strange there, because like I would consider something like Metal Slug or something to have a lot of replay value, right? Even though it's linear. Or, I mean, a roguelike is linear. It's not randomized, right? It's the same every time.
Yeah,
because the value comes from difficulty or whatever, right?
Yeah, I was actually gonna say, because this past few weeks I've been playing a game called Double Dungeon. We'll leave a link to it below, and it's pretty good. But one of the things, because I read some Steam reviews and stuff before I bought it, because I saw the page and I was like, what's this? Looks weird. And then I looked at some reviews, and the negative reviews were like, the typical stuff. It's like, oh yeah, this isn't deep enough, and there's no meta progression, and there's no unlocks, and there's no 50 billion difficulty modifiers like there are in all of the games nowadays.
Yeah.
And there's no replay value, and the game is really, really short, and so on.
Yeah.
And I found that to be very interesting, because I played the game on the hardest difficulty, because I'm such a pro gamer, right?
Yeah.
And I've already gotten 20 hours from the game, and I've been very close to beating it, but I've not beaten it. I've literally been 1 HP on the boss in one run before I died. So I assume I'll probably win the next 1 or 2 runs, and then I'll be finished with the game, because there's no bonus content. But 20 to 25 hours for a run-based game, that's maybe 2 hours per run or whatever. That's actually pretty good replay value, right?
Yeah.
And it's very interesting, because it's not what would you call it? It's not replay value in content, right? It's replay value in difficulty.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Yeah.
Because right, if you play on because there are a lot of difficulties in that game, and if you play on the easy difficulties, it's super trivial, right? Yeah. I believe the actual span in difficulty between the lowest and highest is very high in that game, more high than usual. But yeah, it's very interesting, because to me that's a pretty good deal, right? I think the game was $20, I don't remember, and then it was on sale for $10, because it was a release sale, right?
Yeah.
And that's pretty good value for money, right? 20 to 25 hours for $20, and I think the point I wanted to make is that people seem to value superficial replay value a lot, so literally content.
Well, that's not replay value, that's sort of the point I was trying to make. They like the game to be long, right?
Yeah. But I'm thinking more if you look at like roguelikes, for example. I believe Slay the Spire does this as well. Or it's sorry, I believe that Slay the Spire was the one that like popularized this, where it's like actually beating the game isn't that hard, but then after you beat the game, you unlock like ascension runs or whatever they're called, which are like more difficult and stuff.
Well, that's just psychological stuff, right? That's just to make, you know, so people can feel like they beat it or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So that makes sense.
Exactly. But I think that like makes people think the game is worth more money than if the game had just been hard from the start.
Yeah.
Right?
But in a way that sounds kind of like a better approach in my opinion, because it's sort of even though I'm not necessarily, I mean, I'm not against difficulty options. I just think a lot of games do them poorly. But I think if you can present the difficulties as content, I think you're doing something right? Mm-hmm. So if they're doing that, like, oh, look, these ascension runs are more content, right? That's a good thing. Because that means they're like, no, look, it's actually content because it's, you know, harder content or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I kind of get what you're saying.
So it's
I'm
not
sure
an
I
option.
agree, though.
It's more of a like, no, this is the next step for you. This is the next thing you can do, right? The problem is if it's if it's forcing you into easy stuff first, right? So
because I was gonna say, I think one of my biggest gripes with modern roguelikes is that they are too easy on the first run. It's like, because all the roguelikes do the Slay the Spire thing, where like beating the first run is easy, and then you have like a bunch of difficulty stuff that comes after.
Yeah.
Which is like, I think that's super uninteresting, because like then the first run isn't interesting at all. And like, you know, beating the game, quote unquote, is not actually beating the game. You're supposed to like beat the game and then go on to the harder content and then beat it again and then go on to the harder version of the game and so on and so on.
Yeah.
And I would just prefer the game to be hard right away, in my opinion. Which is why I like this double dungeon game, because it's hard right away if you pick the hardest difficulty, of course. Because there you just pick the difficulty at the start of the run, and there is no unlocks and stuff like that.
Yeah. I want to point something out about that I don't think is weird about the value perception, though, that some people complain about, which is I do think there is some validity or whatever to the argument that there is some, you know, you have to get... So, man, I'm a rambling answer, I apologize. For example, let's say we have a game that's 1 hour long, and it costs €100 or dollars, right? And there is no replay value because it's like a linear story game or something, right?
Yeah.
I would agree that is kind of bad value for your money, right?
Well, you see, I would say that depends, right?
No, see, I would not in that case, because it's very obvious that...
Because if it's like it would be a very, very hard sell. But if it's like the most, you know, groundbreaking, most amazing epic game ever, then I would not be disappointed.
How could the developer possibly have spent, right? It's sort of a, how should I say this? Like, the price should, they can do whatever they want, but like in my mind, I'm thinking the price, you want, as a developer, the price to reflect the cost of development, right? So you can get the money back. So what did the developer do for this 1 hour game to, you know, have to be so expensive?
Like obviously I would prefer if the game was cheaper, but I would still like not be mad paying it if the game was actually that good. Like I could like... And
again, to be clear, we're talking you can't get any replay value out of this game. It's like... There is zero replay value in this game, which I mean, in a way, is sort of like it is telling that it's not that interesting, because most things, even that don't have replay value if they are good or whatever. Like even a puzzle game in a way has some replay value. It's the problem is, you know, the puzzles, right? But
but if you like wait a year or something, you'll forget.
Exactly.
But I think that's a good point. Like, maybe if it's like, as you say, because if there's no replay value, then it's probably a very superficial game. But like, let's say in a hypothetical scenario, it was like the most, like, it literally blew my mind when I played it.
But then you
like,
could probably get more hours out of it, is my point, right?
Maybe. But like, as I said, I probably wouldn't be happy spending $100 on it, but I could without being mad, right?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, sure. I mean, you can probably spend that on like some special version of something, or I don't know, right? I don't know, like some game or something.
Yeah.
Or like you could get it for other reasons than just, you know, getting the game or whatever. Like you'll get, I don't know, like people buy statues of game characters and stuff or whatever, right? Or
like deluxe editions or whatever.
No, or just like handcrafted, like more expensive stuff.
Yeah, true.
So I mean, yeah, they can spend on whatever they want, I guess, in that sense, right? So I guess there is variance in the value there. But yes, so I think we bring up Jonathan Blow from time to time, and I think he mentioned at one point, I don't remember, I should have looked this up beforehand. He had a very nuanced opinion about this, right? Where it's like, you know, because the prices, people, for some context, a lot of people think that modern games are too expensive, right? Modern AAA games, which, to be clear, I think I agree with. I'm pretty sure I agree with that. Like, based on what you get out of it, right?
Yeah.
And that's the sort of thing he said as well. He was like, well, because the argument is always, well, the games, you know, inflation or something, and games should cost this based on what they cost 20 years ago or whatever, right? And his argument was something like, well, what are you getting, right, compared to that? Like, if you go back and you think when Doom came out, right, and you pay $60 for Doom, like, that's literally one of the first, it is the first, right, 3D game, right? There have never been a game like that before.
Yeah.
Or sorry, Wolfenstein, not Doom. Right. Sorry, I'm too young. I'm sorry.
And maybe it wasn't even $60, but like the standard price.
Yeah, the point is that it was probably very expensive, right?
Yeah.
But the thing is that that's completely new. Like, there is nothing like that. The problem is that these days, if you look at, like, I don't know, what game we were discussing Neo, right? Neo 3.
Yeah.
Which is 80, right? I think, or is it 70?
I don't remember.
Yeah,
but something like that.
It's 80, 70 or 80, right? And it didn't seem like it sold that well, but maybe it did. I don't know, like, based on reviews and stuff on Steam and stuff. Maybe it sold great, and that just didn't reflect. But my point is that it's probably not better than the second one. If it is, it's very minor, like, you know, in a very minor way, right? It's not doing anything new. And that game has, first of all, costs, I don't know why. We should have looked up some of this stuff beforehand, but like 40 or 50, probably, right? Full price. And then it's on sale all the time, right? So you could probably have bought it for like 20 at some point.
Yeah.
So, like, that is sort of the thing you have to compare to, right? You can't compare to, you know, oh, that's what the price should be. Well, like, the other games are what. Say that again.
Like, you need to compare the games. You can't just like evaluate them in a vacuum. Like, this game is worth whatever.
Yeah, because also they're not doing anything new, right? It's the same game as the last one.
Yeah.
So if it was like completely revolutionary new game that no one has seen before, well, obviously it would be worth more money because it's doing something that no one has seen before, right? It's more R&D budget or whatever, right? But it's not. It's just doing the same thing as the last one.
Yeah. I think, like, you know, specifically talking about AAA prices, right? Because indie games tend to be way cheaper.
Yes.
So, like, if you compare something like a Ubisoft game, which, you know, in our opinion, is like a complete waste of time, right? It's something you play to actively waste your time. It's not like an interesting game or whatever. Yeah, exactly. So like the Assassin's Creed games or Far Cry games or whatever, the newer ones. If you compare that to an indie game that's like in the similar style, like Vampire Survivors, for example, that's another example, right? It's just there to like waste your time and provide you dopamine while you like sit there and do nothing.
Yeah, they're the same game essentially, is what you're saying.
Essentially, right? And like Vampire Survivors is like $10 or something, and you know, Vampire Survivors will probably
Yeah, I would probably have more fun
now that I
with
think of
Vampire
it.
Survivors
Exactly.
than,
I would have more fun and I would put more hours into it,
Yeah.
right? Because when I've done the Assassin's Creed content, that game is over.
Yeah.
But like Vampire Survivors is like endless and there's a bunch of beta
Vampire
progression
Survivors
and
is
there's a
actually-
bunch of crossovers and it's a live service and so on, right? So it's like the value for money there, if what I'm looking for is to have my time wasted, the value for money is like way better.
Yeah, and
than
it's,
in a Ubisoft
it's
game.
actually better at, funny, like I didn't think about that before, but it's
Mm-hmm.
better at the time wasting already. Like
Exactly.
it has a better dopamine to boring
Money
ratio, or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
and
exactly.
it's like way cheaper, right?
Mhm.
So that's and I think that's we mentioned Friendslop last week, which is
Mhm.
where we talked about like how the like people are sort of mad. I mean, people are not mad, but like it's called Friendslop, right? Someone has to be mad for it being called slop, right? I mean, and not mad, but you get what I'm saying, right?
Mhm.
Someone is angry that these people are, in quotation marks, not putting in effort and making a bunch of money, right? And it's sort of like the thing there is that the cost of developing those games are more aligned with what you get out of them, right?
Mhm.
And that's
Yeah.
why it works so well, because it's like I guess the budgets of the AAA stuff is just insane, and they're not getting anything out of it, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
Because what people are paying for is the games, and the games are just not, like, you're not getting anything interesting
Mhm.
out of them compared to the ones that came out 5 years ago.
Yeah.
It's the same
I
games.
I think it was you and I discussed this podcast. Was it the Thomas Brush game podcast? He like interviewed some game marketing guy.
Yeah.
What was he called?
It's a good podcast, by the way. People,
Yeah.
you should check it out. I should probably leave a link. Like, he interviews a bunch of game devs, and I mean, yeah, pretty interesting.
Anyways, he interviewed some marketing guy.
Yes.
I think he was called like Chris Zukowski or something like that, but I might be butchering the name completely. Anyways, and he like what he said was very interesting, because he basically said that like, because game developers are talking about how like game development is like very tough economically and stuff.
Yes.
Which for many it is, right?
Yeah.
But he was basically arguing that we're kind of in an indie game golden age, because the games that are popular, Friendslop, are very cheap to make.
Yeah.
So if you make a game like, if you make the game with the intention of making it popular, then you can very easily keep your costs down and like make a game very cheaply. And that was like really interesting, like a very interesting different way to look at it, because game developers are usually like, oh no, like it's so, I need to spend 5 years on my game and then I don't get any sales and then I become poor and whatever. And he's like, no, just make slop in 3 months and then you become rich. Like,
and you can
obviously not everyone will succeed, but like some do. And like,
no, but this ties into like other developers we discussed before, right? With the solitaire guy, what's his name? I forget his name. And the RPG guy. Well, I don't remember. I don't remember their names.
No, I don't remember either.
Yeah. Do we remember the game names?
Yeah, he's done. The RPG guy has done Avernum.
Yeah, Avernum
and then the other guy does, what's it called? Shadowhand Solitaire.
Shadowhand, yeah.
Well, let's just link the games and
we'll
then people can find them.
Yeah, like they talk about this all the time, and I agree with them so like much, which is that. And we have discussed this before, right? We talked at some point. We have an episode where we talked about like that game developers should make more games, right? Where we touched on this a little bit, which is that there is this issue right now, like both in the indie space and in the AAA space, which is that you're making this like grand game that's gonna be the best game ever, and the problem is you're not building up the skills and the like. Not only skills, right? Because you get more skill the more games you make, but also like the portfolio, right? Especially the solitaire guy, he has a bunch of really good talks about this, where like actually having a portfolio of games, right? You accumulate, like
fans or whatever.
Yeah,
or
but
customers.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, if you have 10 games, that's obviously gonna make you more money than one game, like on average, right? Because you might get some sales on all of those games, right?
Yeah.
Whereas if you only have one, you can only gain money from one game, right? So the more games you have, and also there's less risk in having more games because you can make
Yeah.
more games, right? So this thing of like keeping the cost down, making more games, and having them be cheaper, I think
Which is
undervalued. And I think
yeah.
this is very important to developers that want to make the kinds of games that we like, right? That are very, you know, niche, I would say, right? It's not like we want to play like hard games and, you know, or not hard. I mean, yes, we do, but you know what I'm saying, right? Games that demand a lot of the player, right? Which means they're not gonna be very popular. Which means you need to think in these ways, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes they're popular, but you know, you can't bet on that or whatever you say, right? You can't.
Yeah, exactly. It's like it's very rare that they become popular.
Yeah.
But yeah, I actually think it's interesting because I think. And I think you agree with me here because we've discussed this before. But like, this is not only true for indie games. This is also true for AAA games because like
it's actually worse there.
Yeah, exactly. Because the last few years have been like terrible years for the gaming industry, right?
Yeah, not money-wise, like, I think, but
no, but like amount of studios closing down and stuff. And like, it's very obvious that the reason for that is that these gaming studios put all of their eggs in one basket and then it flops and then they go out of business because they were like their future was depending on that game selling well. And like, you know, AAA developers, they spend more and more time making bigger and bigger games, and like if they don't succeed then they're fucked.
Yeah. And
like if AAA or even AA developers, right, would have made more smaller games, then they would have like spread that risk out, right? Because like the number one economic advice, if you talk to like a guy who does stocks or whatever, it's like don't put all of your eggs in one basket because you're gonna lose all of your money if it goes poorly. And like the game studios keep doing it all the time, and they keep making it worse and worse, and they keep putting more of all of their eggs in all of their baskets. And it's very obvious that, you know, studios close down when they like operate in that way. Because like if you have like 1,000 employees, which is like not that much for a AAA studio nowadays, right? They probably have several thousands. Then you can afford to make a few games at once. But they like aren't. They're just making one game at a time, and it's also not very safe.
It's also quite interesting that they're not, because the power of a big studio is that you can work in parallel, right?
Yeah.
So you would benefit a lot from like having, let's say you have like a core tech team or whatever that does all the tech stuff, but you know, you can have like 5 or 6 or whatever game teams, right? Just making games, and they can share. Like, let's say we're like, well, okay, we're like really into FPS games, right? So maybe let's say all of them have to be FPS because like that's the tech stack we have. Well, fine, sure, right? That's fine. But like you could make 5 FPSs at once, right? And like maybe you don't make them super like more in the sort of like how should I say this? Like the prototype kind of way, right? Where you're like trying out all the ideas, and then you can like, depending on how you feel about the different ideas, maybe this is like a quick project and this is a long project or whatever, right? You like evaluate how much people like the idea of that one or whatever, right?
Yeah, it's actually pretty interesting because I think Obsidian did this. Now their games aren't very good, but I think it was like, yeah, sorry, Obsidian. But like they did, because they have Josh Sawyer on their team, right? And he did what's it called, Pentiment, which was like a small, you know, very very contained narrative focused game that was like complete, like it was a point and click game, right? Completely different from the like Fallout style open world games that they do nowadays. And like, as I said, I didn't enjoy the game very much. It was fine. But like, it's very interesting that they like just gave Chris Sawyer the freedom to just like make a small game, you know, passion project game or whatever you want to call it. And it obviously went very well because Pentiment sold pretty well, you know, for what it was. It was quite a success, and I think more studios would benefit from doing that. But then there's also the fact that like, if you have several game projects going on at the same time, you can actually spend longer developing the games. Now, I'm not saying that like they necessarily benefit from this, but like considering how, you know, game development cycles are becoming longer and longer, you know, AAA studios, you should like split up your team so that you can spend even more time making games, because then you can still have a game coming out every year, and like if it takes 8 years to make a game, then you can just have 8 teams making one game each.
Yeah.
It's like very, what do you want to call it? Like a very nice solution.
Yes.
Because this actually reminds me, now I'm going way off topic. Because it was when Concord was released.
Mm-hmm.
Was that 2024?
I don't know. Yeah, probably.
Man, shit. Time passes by fast. Felt like yesterday. Anyways, because that game, I remember looking up the like details for this. I think they said that the game took 8 years to develop.
Yeah, that's probably.
Wait,
true.
Was it 2024? Yeah, it must have been, right? Because I think also Jonathan Blow mentioned this. We love Jonathan Blow. It's like Overwatch came out in 2016.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's when they
Concord came out in 2024. So that means, and it took 8 years to develop. So that means that they saw Overwatch and they were like, okay, we're gonna make a copy of this game, and it took them 8 fucking years to develop that game.
Yeah.
It's like, and I think Jonathan Blow mentioned this because it's like, you know, back in the day, game studios used to copy each other. Like if someone released a popular game, someone would make a copy of that game. And like he was saying that studios are still doing it today, but it's taking them so long to copy the games that like people don't notice it because Overwatch was 8 years ago. Like that's an old game now. And like now Concord, which is an Overwatch copy, is out, and like everyone's forgotten Overwatch. It's like very interesting.
Yeah.
Side tangent over.
Yeah, let's go back to money.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, where do we want to take this next? I guess we want to talk about Factorio, right? Factorio,
Mm-hmm.
Factorio guy.
Yeah.
Do you know his name?
No, I don't.
Yeah. So basically, Factorio is never on sale, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what people say about that, at least what it seems like from what I can see, right, is that that's anti-consumer and blah blah blah, and that's bad because blah blah blah, and that's really interesting to me because obviously the anti-consumer thing is sales, right? It's way more honest to not have sales.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously he's in a very good position to where, like, because I understand, like, I'm not saying all developers that have sales are bad or whatever, right? I obviously understand that you make a lot of money from sales, so if you have to, you have to, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I just find it interesting that people view sales as something good, which they aren't. There's something really bad, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I just wanted to discuss that, and I guess you can say
because I think as you said, it's pretty interesting because I've also read about the Factorio stuff, and like the consensus around that, you know, as you said, I might be wrong, but the consensus around that seems to be that people hate the guy for not having sales.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just find it very interesting because it's like, I don't know. I was just gonna say, like, basically what you said. You know, sales are there to trick you into buying it, right?
Yeah, when you
and
don't
like
need it.
Maybe it's that like people are looking at it, not from the bigger picture. You know, like we discussed in a few episodes ago.
Yeah.
It's like they're looking at, you know, Factorio as a singular example, and they see like this game is not on sale. It's more expensive than if it wouldn't have been on sale. Therefore, it's bad. Whereas they don't look at the bigger picture and see like, wait, sales are there to trick me, and like it's a systemic problem or whatever you want to call it, with like sale spamming on Steam and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
That's pretty interesting because we were discussing sales a while ago.
We discuss sales a lot, I guess.
Yes, we do.
Not on the show that much though.
Yeah, but like one of the things we kind of realized is that we don't really care about sales anymore.
No.
Because there's always sales.
Yeah, there's always sales.
So it's like
And this
if
is not
I
only
see
games, by the way. This
yeah,
is
yeah,
in
yeah.
general,
It's for
but
everything. Yeah. But like, if we see a game that we want to play that's on sale, you know, back in the day, at least for me, I don't know for you, but when I saw a game that I wanted to play on sale, I was like, shit, I need to buy that game because it's on sale and it's way cheaper than usual. I need to buy it now, or I'm gonna have to pay more later when I want to play it.
Yeah.
And like, I never get that feeling anymore because I always know that it's gonna be on sale pretty soon again.
Yeah.
It's like, if I don't buy it now, yeah, maybe it's gonna be full price for like 3 months, and then there's a sale again in 3 months, and I can buy it then if I want to play it. Like, I can just wait.
Yeah, it's actually gotten really bad, like, for AAA especially. Like, there have been times this year and last year especially where I was like, you know what? Maybe I should give a AAA game a shot, right? But like we mentioned earlier, they're 80 euros or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, it's pretty, you know, it's not no money, right? It's quite a bit of money. At least in comparison to what you can, right? Yeah. I mean, I would say people would agree with that probably. And I also know, and I'm like, every time I look at it, so I go like, oh yeah, it's 80. And I like think about it, and I'm like, you know what? I don't need to play this right now. It's 80, right?
Yeah.
Which I think more people is thinking than me, right? It's just insanely expensive. But one thing that I started to notice earlier than that, which has made me buy even less AAA games, is that they are, most of them are actually down by 20% after the first month, right? At least the ones I looked at. I don't have statistics on this, so don't like, no quotes here, right? I just think I remember the games that I was looking at was like, oh yeah, this game is $80 or euros, and then like for more than one of them, right? It was like, oh yeah, now it's 1 month off, right? And there's like at least 20% sale after 1 month, right? So think about that. Like after 1 month, the game is gonna cost, you know, I don't know what math, 70 or like 60, between 60 and 70, right? Instead of 80 after 1 month. If you wait 1 month, right? Yeah. So like a big issue with this newer sales. I mean, obviously they do it because they know it works and they want it for that price, but like, it's so I don't know what the word, like predatory or whatever. I don't know what it's so weird. I don't know. I don't.
Yeah.
Like, there's no reason to buy them on. I guess it's like they are betting on people. Like the initial wave is the FOMO wave, and then it's like the actual wave of people that, you know, are more reasonable with their.
Yeah, because isn't that why they all want to release all the games in like October, November? Because then they can have sales for Christmas and stuff.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Which it's very interesting. This might be a controversial opinion, but it's kind of related to what you were talking about with like game prices, and that's the new trend of early access for pre-orders. Now, I think compared to other early access bonuses, that's like completely fine.
Yeah.
Because
Oh, you don't, sorry. You don't mean early access.
Maybe I was.
You mean
no.
Early
access. You get the game 3 days early if you
pre-order.
pre-order.
Because that means something in the Steam world, right? So,
sorry, my bad. But like.
So
it'll be like, oh, if you pay $100, you get the games 3 days early, and if you pay $80, you get it on release day. Yeah. And a lot of people seem to think that it's like super anti-consumer, which like it is pretty anti-consumer. But it's way better than like pre-order exclusive content and stuff like that. Because the thing is that if you don't think it's worth paying $20 extra to play the game 3 days early,
you play it 3 days
then you can just not do it. Yeah, you can just wait 3 days and then pay $20 less.
Yeah, and if you're more patient, you can wait 1 month and pay 20 less than that, I guess.
Yeah. Because people seem to be like super mad that it's like, oh, you know, I need to pay $100 because I want to play the game.
Like, to be clear though, I think all of this is super shit. But in comparison,
exactly. Like, it is still shit. but it's like
Compared
it's
to
one of the
content
better
stuff,
ways
yeah.
to do pre-order exclusives or like deluxe editions or whatever you want to call them. Because it's like, okay, if you think it's worth more money, like if you think it's worth to pay more to get it earlier, you can pay more to get it earlier. And if you don't, you can wait. And it's like, it's not that bad. Like,
I mean,
it's still bad, but
I
it's
think
not
all
that
of them
bad.
are super bad, actually. I just,
Yeah.
like, compared to giving you content, it's better. Because,
Yeah, exactly.
like, one thing I want to discuss here is, right, that I really appreciate the thing the Factorio guy is doing, right, which is he has no sales. Because I think sales, like, the reason people have sales is because they work, right? And what do we mean by work? Well, we mean it's literally making people buy things they don't need or whatever. Like, they don't want the games, they're buying them because they're on sale, right?
Yeah, or games that they aren't planning to play right now,
Yeah.
right? And then they never play them.
And it's so funny, actually, because especially, so, like, if we go way back, I would buy a lot of games on sale. I still buy games on sale from time to time, of course, especially AAA games. But, like, I stopped buying indie games on sale. And in my mind, I was like, oh, that's gonna be more expensive, right?
Yeah.
But it's not. It's way cheaper. Way cheaper. Because you're not buying a bunch of games that you're not planning to play, right? You're just buying the game you want to play now. And also, I think that's just a more healthy way to do it, because then you're supporting the developers more, right? I think that's very underappreciated in the games world, right?
Yeah.
Like, I think that's especially for people, again, like us, that want games that are more, not mainstream, to actually make sure that the developer gets some money, right?
Yeah.
So, because like, I see that sometimes in these more like niche genres, like, I don't know, shoot 'em ups or something, that people are like demanding sales all the time. And I find that funny, because if you want more games like that, you should encourage people to spend more money, like more, as in more higher numbers money on the games, right? I understand that everyone can't afford it, right? Obviously, but yeah, I don't know. I just feel like people should think more. How should I say this? Like, we talked about this. We haven't talked about this on the podcast, but like, we've discussed this about music, right? Where music, and I think games will end up there as well. Like, with music, the music industry is so, I don't know, fucked, I guess. So like, the only way to not just make random one-off pop songs is to, like, do it indie and like hope that people support you by buying your music on like Bandcamp and stuff, right? And going to your concerts. And I think we'll get there with games as well, right? Because games, we're gonna bring that up probably soon, right? With not Battle Pass, Game Pass,
Battle Passes.
Battle Passes as well, but Game Pass, right? Where it's like games are going towards that model where like games are so devalued that you literally can't, like, you can only live off supporting fans, right?
Yeah.
And so, if you care about games, I think you need to think more, like you need to be more aware about like how much of your money goes to the developer. Like, for example, buying games on itch or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And maybe not, if it's a game you like, maybe don't buy it on sale, or you know what, maybe buy it on sale and maybe buy it again or something, right? If you have
buy
the
a
money.
gift for your friends or something.
Yeah. To support them. Yeah. I don't know if I had any direction to that. Do you have any comments on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's very interesting with like the music industry, because like,
it's
now we're not talking about
fucked.
games. Now we're talking about music now. But
fine.
like, it's completely fucked.
Yeah.
And like, the thing is that I okay, it's not recently now. It's like maybe 3 or 4 years ago. I like stopped, because I had just used Spotify before, because that's what everyone does. And I like stopped doing that, and I started to like actually pay for my music and like supporting the artists and stuff like that. And like, what I find interesting, like, it's more expensive than like having a Spotify subscription, no doubt. but it's like not
it is
that
arguable.
expensive.
Yeah, it's not necessarily.
Yeah.
It depends on how many discs you buy or whether albums you
exactly.
buy or whatever, right?
Yeah, but I listen to quite a bit of music, so it's like I buy maybe 2 or 3 albums a month. And like they're all $10 each, so that's like
that's
$30
more than
a month.
I guess. But like
that's more than Spotify.
I think the average user
more.
listens to fewer songs than you do, right? So.
Yeah. But like it's not that much money. Like $30 a month to have access to good music, because like, you know, if you're listening to less popular music and nobody would be buying their music, then that music wouldn't exist, right?
Yeah.
I said that in a very weird way, but you get what I say. It's like for indie artists to exist, someone needs to buy their music because they can't live on Spotify, or someone needs to go to their concerts, or someone needs to buy their merch. And you know, I'll happily be that guy, because like I think they deserve it, because I'm listening to their music and I'm enjoying it. I want to pay for it, which I think is like a general problem in society, if you want to be like pretentious and weird about it.
Yeah.
It's like people don't want to pay for things that they like.
Yeah.
And I actually have a pretty funny example. It's File Pilot.
Right.
Which is, for those of you that don't know, it's like an alternative to the Windows File Explorer, because the Windows File Explorer sucks.
Yeah.
And so someone developed an alternative to that called File Pilot, which you have to pay for.
Yeah.
It's quite a bit of money. I think it was like $100 or something for lifetime access, or whatever you want to call it. Like you get all the updates for the rest of your life and stuff like that. And so like it's quite a lot of money up front. But like if I because this is kind of a funny story, because the guy who did it, he like released a free demo so you could like try it, but you wouldn't get updates in the future. And so I downloaded the demo, and then I have this folder on my computer with like video files and stuff, which like every time I open it in the Windows File Explorer, it takes 10 seconds to load, if not 20.
Nice.
And so the first thing I did when I downloaded the demo was I went to that folder, I opened it, and it opened instantly in File Pilot, like literally instantly. And I was like, okay, I'm giving this man $100, because like I want to use this for the rest of my life. And like I feel like a lot of people don't want to spend that money. Like obviously I understand that some people can't afford paying $100 for a file explorer, right?
I mean, it should be like if you, for example, if you work with like that stuff, right? Like you said, if you listen to a lot of music, you should support music people, right? If you play a lot of games, you should support games people, right? And the same is like if you work a lot on the computer, maybe you should support that kind of stuff, right? So it's not like, oh, you should support everyone, right? You should support the ones that you that benefits you, and like it benefits them that you support them, right?
And yeah, so the point that I wanted to make is that I feel like stuff like that, people are very, very reluctant to spend money on. It's like, I mean, just look at stuff like YouTube and Discord and stuff like that. Like, they suck.
Yeah.
And like, if there was a paid alternative, like now there is YouTube Premium and stuff, right? But YouTube is still YouTube, right? And it sucks. And like, if there were a paid alternative, people wouldn't pay for it. Which I think is a problem, because that's why everything sucks, right? That's kind of my point. That's why YouTube is so bad. That's why Discord and stuff like that is so bad, because nobody is willing to actually pay for stuff.
I would actually argue that YouTube is surprisingly good considering, right?
That is, that's actually a pretty good point. Yeah.
Compared to other stuff, because like Discord, for example, I don't know what they're doing now, and you know, most other companies are doing weird shit.
Yeah.
And also like you said with the premium YouTube, it's like, I mean, they still have the I don't know what they're doing with the website, but like the shorts and stuff, I guess. But like the experience with that, like with the premium is, I mean, pretty decent, I would say. Like, you know.
Yeah.
So if you don't want that stuff in your like ads and stuff,
Yeah.
But there is like other issues with this stuff, right? So like if we talk about Game Pass, right? Game Pass is just like, it's unfortunate that we're going towards that, but maybe it isn't working as well with games. I don't know why, but because it's really not
Yeah.
good for anyone, right? It's just bad
Mhm.
for everyone, because what happens is that developers get less money and players just gonna have to pay more money, right? Because it's gonna increase, like the price is gonna increase because
Yeah.
there is no competition, right?
Mhm.
But that money doesn't
Yeah,
go to
like.
the developers, that goes to Microsoft.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I have no insider information whatsoever, so I'm just speculating. But like, I don't think Game Pass is actually making Microsoft money right now, and I think they are 100% like betting on like gaining a kind of monopoly on the gaming market and then increasing the price so that they actually make money on it.
I mean, they've already done it. Like they've increased the price a bit even now.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think
but
it was
I
too
still
early.
don't
I
think they're
it's-
making money.
It was
exactly.
like people. It was. They should have waited longer. I think if they wanted to win or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because people got a bit upset about it. But yeah.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's like, because I think, again, I don't have the numbers on this, but like I do think that a lot of games suffer from Game Pass. Like,
yes.
If you look at, it's very interesting because if you look at games made by Xbox owned studios, if you look at their previous game, maybe I'm just like there's confirmation bias and I've just seen like examples that prove this theory and not the ones that don't.
That the games are bad.
Yes, that's also true. But like if I look at games that are on Game Pass and compare them to like games in the same like franchise that weren't on Game Pass before, like if there were previous entries in the franchises, the Game Pass, the ones that are on Game Pass seem to sell quite a lot worse. And I do think it is related. Maybe it's not as big. Like, it probably depends on the game as well.
No, I think it's very related because of the prices as well. Because you have to
consider,
like, whatever, like Doom, the Dark Ages, right?
Yeah, because that's like the main example.
€80.
Yeah.
So, like, and I'm gonna play it once. So I can sign up for Game Pass for 1 month and play it for like 10, I think it was at the time, right?
Yeah.
Or I can pay $80 or euros, right? For it.
Yeah. Because Doom the Dark Ages was like the example that I was thinking of, like the main example where I saw this. Because like Doom Eternal sold really, really well. And then Doom the Dark Ages didn't seem to sell like very well at all. And yeah, it's probably that it's $80 as you say, but then it's also like you can get it for 10 on Game Pass, right?
Yeah.
Which maybe that's kind of one of the problems, quote unquote. I don't really want to call it problems because it's good that Game Pass is failing, right?
Yes.
But like one of the problems with Game Pass is that it's like it's basically exclusively like single player games on there, and not like, you know, there aren't any games that are keeping people on the Game Pass, right? Does that make sense?
Well, it should work because like movies, right, or TV series, you don't rewatch those, right? And that's just all of it is streaming.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that like if you had like a live service game on there,
well, they do. Those are the ones that are actually doing the best on the platform, because you'll get like bonus stuff and for the so that's like those are the ones that are actually making money. Yeah. So it's like, oh, you have this Game Pass subscription, but you're like, I don't know what games, I don't remember what games are on there, right? But you can get, I think you can get bonus for like Fortnite and League of Legends and stuff, right?
Okay.
Stuff like that. I could be wrong. I don't know the Destiny probably. I don't know exact games. So if you know, you can leave a comment about that. But because I don't play live service games anymore, I guess. But I know that there has been like, I've read articles about like the games that are doing the best on Game Pass are the free to play games.
Okay, yeah.
And maybe that is part of why the Game Pass thing is not quite working, because the people that like the streaming model, they're already on the live service games, right?
Yeah, that's a good point.
So they're not really like the people that want to play the single player games are not really. I don't know.
Yeah.
Then again, it should be in theory if there was like. Because people watch a lot of TV series on like streaming stuff like Netflix or whatever, right? in theory that should work on Game Pass as well, right? It's like, oh look, there's 10 single player games on here that I can play, right? That should.
Yeah, I just think it's a problem with like lack of content, because you know, if you look at Netflix, they have an insane amount of content.
Yeah.
But if you look at Game Pass, there's like 60 games on Game Pass or something.
Well,
I don't know. I just proved that
no new games coming out, so they can't
exactly
put any games on there.
Yeah, but like if you compare like 60 games on Game Pass to like several thousand TV shows on Netflix, that's like the value proposition there is off, and I think that's one of the reasons why Game Pass.
I don't know,
because like
I think there might be like I could be completely wrong on this, but I feel like because games are like interactive. Mm-hmm. There is more of an attachment or whatever to the games, right? Mm-hmm. Like I know people, like let's say people buy this new, like if we take Doom the Dark Ages as an example, right? Mm-hmm. I don't think people buy it and think, oh my god, I'm gonna play this game once and never play it again, right? They're like, oh my god, this is the coolest game I've ever seen, I'm gonna play this for 15 years, and then they just end up playing one run, right? Mm-hmm. Because they get bored or whatever, right? But in theory, you know, with all the FOMO and stuff, right? Where it's like you're hyping up the game or whatever. I feel like games are built in or like marketed at least in a way to where they, you get what I'm saying, right? Where it's like, they want you to get this sense of, oh, you can play this game forever because there's so much content or whatever, right? Like long RPGs, it's like, oh my god, you can spend so much time, right? And then you feel more attachment to the thing. Whereas with a TV show, I feel like it's more, you know, you watch it once or whatever, right? I don't know. Mm-hmm. It's the same with like accounts and stuff, right? For if we take like, you know, free to play games and stuff, right? Mm-hmm. You get like sort of a, you know, you grind and you like I think it's part of why this like streaming things also doesn't work, right? Because it's like people want to own their games more in a way, maybe. I don't know. I could be wrong about that, but I feel like it's a bit different from movies.
Yeah, that's actually a very good point. Because like, and once again, this is something we discussed in real life, but not on the podcast. And that's that if you want to buy a movie, like buy an actual MP4 file or a TV show, like that's basically impossible nowadays. Which is not true for video games. Yeah. So maybe there is something there, right? Yeah. Because I would love to have the ability to buy a movie, but I can't. Yeah. Like you need to go.
You can't even buy discs anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
And also,
or like if you can, it's like DRM riddled and like region locked and stuff like that.
Oh my god, those Blu-ray player bullshit. We're not going there. I mean, games are going that direction as well, right? But
but yeah, I think games are better in that aspect.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
I think it's sort of partly because they are games are more of a lifestyle thing. Mm-hmm. Whereas
maybe like a movie you
consume
once.
the movie or whatever. Mm-hmm. Whereas it's like I'm gonna be the I mean, I guess it's a bit different with single player, but it's still right. Yeah. If we take a better example would be like, let's say you want to play like the latest Battlefield or whatever. If you're like, oh no, I'm gonna like, I don't think most people buying that are thinking like, oh yeah, I'm gonna play this game for 10 hours and never play it again, even though that's what they do, right? They're thinking like, oh my god, this is the coolest Battlefield game ever, I'm gonna play this for the rest of my life, right? In the moment. And so if you think that way, like it's a lifestyle thing, right? Where it's like, oh yeah, I'm playing like this game I'm gonna play this game with my friends forever, and you don't want it to be something that you don't own, if that makes sense, even though you technically still don't own it because of whatever, right? Yeah, because they're gonna shut it off and bullshit and
and DRM and stuff. Yeah there was one thing I wanted to go back to Factorio actually, because there is one thing we haven't discussed. And that is that Factorio actually increased its price like several years after it released. And the motivation for this was do you say motivation in English? I don't know. Anyways, the given reason for this was that, you know, the developers have updated the game, there's more content, and they're like making a big update, so, you know, the game is worth more money now according to them.
Yeah.
And also like probably inflation and stuff like that. And people seem to be very, very, very mad at this. And I don't think it's unreasonable to like do that.
Yeah.
And this goes back to like, I don't know if we've discussed this, but there was a very interesting podcast episode by the Electric Underground, shout out, on his Patreon, where he discussed like indie games and like early access and stuff like that. How like indie game success, like very successful indie games tend to have like these weird development cycles where they're basically a live service but they're free.
Yeah.
And like he discusses how that's bad for the games and stuff like that. It's a very good podcast, you should listen to it. We can link that as well. We'll link a lot of stuff.
It's paywall.
Yes, but then they can pay for it.
But
yeah, anyways, so like I kind of respect Factorio for saying like, okay, we've updated the game and now it's worth more money. Because like the standard is to like update the game and then like have it for the same price or even reduce the price so that there's more value for money, right? That's one of the things he talks about in the podcast episode. And it's like, yeah, I kind of get it. Like, you think the game is worth more now, so you're gonna charge me more. I think that's fine, because you've like worked on it more. Yeah. I don't know. What do you think?
I think there is a lot of like weird things to think about in general about software, because so like for example, if let's say we're building fridges instead.
Yeah.
If you buy a fridge today versus 10 years ago, I mean, honestly, it should be cheaper because they're garbage. But if we, in theory, lived in a world where fridge manufacturers actually made better fridges, right? It would make sense that you pay more for a fridge today than 10 years ago because, you know, it would be made like to not break as fast and, you know, use less energy and, you know, lots of stuff, right?
Yeah.
So, but the thing is there that like it's still built, right? So you're sort of paying for the R&D or whatever, but also for the like actual parts.
Yeah.
And that's sort of a thing that's always like really hard to quantify value to with software because there is only like the cost of like the in quotation marks the R&D cost or whatever, like the designing the thing, right?
Yeah.
There is no manufacturing. You just copy the binary or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So it doesn't cost anything to put out more of the same thing, right?
Yeah.
So I guess I don't have any point with this really more than that. It's like complicated because like we haven't discussed this before, right? But for example, like do I have a good comparison? Like the point is that software, like you're sort of actually not. Doesn't cost you anything, right? To sell to someone. So. Yeah, I don't know what the best approach with stuff like that. Whether it's like giving away updates for free. I mean, I understand. I think I sort of. It's nice of the developer to give away stuff for free because they can afford it, right? Like they made a game that was very successful, and they give away updates for free.
Yeah.
But I think developers should think more about not like okay. If we go back in time, right? Internet was bad, right? So you didn't update games as much, right? So what did developers do in that day and at that time, right?
New games.
No, well they did that as well. That is true. They should still do that, but they also made something called expansions, right? And I think that is underutilized or whatever these days. I think more that should be more of a thing. And some games do it, so it's not like no games do it. But there is sort of this expectation on the, you know, these like successful indie games that, oh no, they now they made success, so now they need to give away all their stuff for free, right? Or whatever. I think that's not how they should, because it, in a way, it would be nicer. So the Factorio guy is giving away all the stuff for free, right? And then he's arguing that he should increase the price. I mean, I'm not saying he's doing anything wrong. I'm just like, that his approach is totally valid, especially since he's not having any sales. He's just like, well, yeah, it should be more expensive, right? But you know, he could also have like made more content and made an expansion, right?
Yeah, I think he has done that now.
Yeah.
Like there is a big expansion for Factorio.
Yeah.
I don't know, it was pretty recently, I think. I might be completely wrong, but like,
because then you can also split up the cost, right? Like you
yeah,
you get the money from the old people, or yeah, I mean the drawback for the old, like the ones that were there all along, they for them it's more expensive because they need to buy it. But like for the newer people, it's cheaper because they can get the old and the new game or whatever, right?
Yeah.
But then again, you can also increase the price based on, you know, inflation or whatever, right? So I'm not saying you have to just have a static price. Like the sort of point I guess I'm trying to make is that game pricing does, like, games does not get worse over time or whatever in that same way, at least not anymore, because we're the like hardware is not getting a lot better. So like a game that came out 3 years ago is not gonna be worse, like just because it's older. Like it at some point it's, I mean, it never was like that anyways, right? But you know what I mean, like I guess like graphical fidelity and stuff, right? Where it's like, yeah, no, this game is way uglier than this game. But it's also like, no, games are not, you know, software. I mean, it's bad to do analogies to software because software is literally getting worse, all of it. But in theory, like the new version of Excel or Photoshop should be better than the old one, right? And so it makes sense that it's more expensive. But that's not how games work, right? Games don't get better over time.
Yeah. I think that's actually very interesting because like there seems to be a very obvious expectation from people that games should become cheaper with age.
Yeah.
Like not only be more on sale, but like, you know, AAA games, they go from like $80 to $60 after a few years, and then they go to $40 and then $30 and so on. And so like if you look at old AAA games from like 2015 or whatever, you can probably find a few of them for $30 even though they were $60 back then. Like standard price $30, and then they're probably on sale as well a few times a year. And I feel like it's kind of weird, right? Because as you said, games don't get worse with time, and a lot of times the older games are actually better. So it's like,
and this sort of ties back to what we mentioned in the beginning, which is this creates this problem, right? Where like they're making these new games that cost 80 euros, but they're selling their old games for 30 or 20.
Yeah.
And it's the same game.
Yeah, or in a lot of times even worse than newer ones.
Yeah,
right?
the newer ones, especially Run Wars,
exactly.
holy moly. I don't know what they're doing.
I mean, talking about Doom, the Dark Ages.
I mean, every single game that comes out.
Yeah, true.
Developers should like be forced to develop on like 10-year-old laptops.
Yeah,
because holy crap, they don't know what they're like. They're like, oh yeah, whatever.
Yeah. But yeah, I guess. Do you have anything else you want to bring up?
Yeah, I guess buy more games, and buy more games not on sale.
Yes.
Buy smaller developers.
Buy literally buy the developers.
And don't buy shit for, like, don't be like, oh look, this AAA game that I might play for 20 something or whatever, like it's 95% off, I need to buy it because it's this popular. No, just go like, oh look, you like strategy games with something, go look for indie devs, and even if it's not something that you necessarily like, buy the games anyway and support devs. Like literally just support devs anyways, because like if you can, if you have the money, of course, right? But like I think if you have the money, you should just support indie devs more, so that there can be more stuff like being developed, and
or good games,
especially. And to be clear, because the problem is that there is, you know, a lot of indie games are very successful. I'm not saying, oh, go buy Hollow Knight Silk Zone, although you probably should buy that anyways because it's good, right?
Yeah,
but what I mean is, like, go look at like Steam and go like find a genre or itch, right? If you can, if it's on itch, like double check that it's on itch after you've checked on Steam, because Steam searching is better. Right?
Yeah.
And like look in some genre you like and find something that like looks interesting, and maybe you can look up like what people say about it, and then they'll say like, oh, this is like a 5 out of 10 or something, and you know, maybe you're like, yeah, maybe this won't be the best game ever, but you know, support the developers, right? Fuck it, even you know, even like if if the game has like less than 100 reviews, you know what, write them like message to the dev and tell them like, your game is really cool. They'll be really happy, you know. Like just more, you know, personal stuff, right? Just like help the devs out.
It's actually it's actually very funny, because like what you described literally happened to me with Double Dungeon that I discussed earlier.
Okay.
I like saw that game on Steam and I was like, what's this? It looks kind of weird. And like, I wasn't a super big fan of the art style, but it looked like it could maybe perhaps be interesting. So I was like, fuck it, let's buy it and see if it's good. And it turned out to actually be pretty good. And it's like, so now I've like spent the past few weeks playing a good game, and I'm happy about it because, and you know, maybe I would have ended up wasting $15, but that's fine. You know, what if I hadn't taken that chance?
And I mean, again, to be clear, if you don't have any money, of course you shouldn't spend it. But my point is, if you're spending money on big AAA games and following the hype, like, take that money, because like as a AAA game is €80, right, or dollars. So take that 80, and you know, look for, you know, indies that need the money more, I guess. That's the
that's our message for today. Yes. So, thanks everybody for listening. Don't forget to leave a like or a dislike and a comment, of course. We love reading what you have to say.
Talk about your indie darling video games.
Yes.
Tell us whatever.
And subscribe.
Yes.
Thank you for listening. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.